Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for August 17th. August 17th is the 299th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 230th in leap years, with 136 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is quash. Quash is a verb that means to put down or suppress forcibly and completely, to put an end to or destroy, to annul or put an end to, as in a court order, indictment, or court proceeding. This word comes to us from French and from Latin before that. And with that, we're going to start on August 17th of 1549, when the Prayer Book Rebellion was quashed in England. Now, what in the world does that mean? Well, the Catholic faith was huge in those days, and more than just about faith, religion was also a significant player in politics and power. Of course, we've talked about Henry VIII before, particularly in the way that he changed wives, the way some people changed their seasonal decor. Maybe not quite that frequently, but getting unhitched from one wife to marry the next wife just because he wanted to didn't sit well with the Pope and the Catholic Church. When the Pope wouldn't give him an annulment, Henry VIII set out to break away from the authority of the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church. And this is all backstory to the English Reformation, which is associated with the Protestant Reformation, the wider European Protestant Reformation. Anyway, in 1549, a book called The Book of Common Prayer was published, presenting the revised theology of the English Reformation, which set off protests known as the Prayer Book Rebellion. Things got a bit more heated than one might expect that they would have, and actual military engagements resulted. On August 17, 1668, a magnitude 8 earthquake struck Anatolia in the Ottoman Empire. It was called Anatolia back then, but today we know it as Turkey. This is the birthday of American soldier, politician, and folk hero David Crockett. Only we know him as Davey Crockett. He was born August 17, 1786. He was first elected to the state legislature of Tennessee in 1821 and the U.S. House of Representatives in 1827, where he served 3 non-consecutive terms in all. He was defeated in 1835 by a peg-legged lawyer named Andrew Huntsman and gave up politics, saying, "Since you've chosen to elect a man with a timber toe to succeed me, you may all go to hell and I will go to Texas." He might not have known about the weather here, I'm not sure. And he left the next day. He was at the Battle of the Alamo the following year. Davy Crockett was a skilled hunter and marksman and had a reputation for telling tall tales. Much of his rustic frontier image was a product of political spin. He said of himself, "I'm that same David Crockett, fresh from the backwoods, half horse, half alligator, a little touched with snapping turtle. Can wade the Mississippi, leap the Ohio, ride upon a streak of lightning, and slip without a scratch down a honey locust tree." Now, I don't know if you're familiar with honey locust trees, but they have needle-sharp thorns, and they're about 1 inch to 1.5 inches long. I mean, they really are like needles, and if you ever get poked with one, it's very painful. Trust me when I tell you that they're very effective at piercing the skin and definitely leave a painful reminder. So, Davy Crockett was a skilled tale spinner for sure. While the exact details of his death have been and continue to be debated, what we do know is that he died defending the Alamo in 1836 at the age of 49. This is also the birthday of Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld, born August 17, 1786. This was the mother of Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom. She lived to the age of 74. Robert Fulton's North River steamboat left New York City for Albany on the Hudson River on August 17, 1807. The conjoined twins, Chang and Ng, arrived in America from Siam on August 17, 1829, to embark on their exhibition tour. Their condition was the source of the phrase Siamese twins. They took up residence in North Carolina, became American citizens, married local sisters, and fathered 21 children. Chang died of a cerebral blood clot or stroke at the age of 62, and Ng died just a few hours later. On August 17, 1836, the British Act for Marriages in England of 1836 set about to legalize civil marriages in England and Wales beginning January 1, 1837. Before that, the only recognized marriages were those performed by religious bodies such as the Church of England, the Jews, or the Quakers. One effect of this old law was that anyone of any faith other than these three mentioned or the unchurched had to be married according to rites and ceremonies they didn't necessarily support by a priest that they believed had no authority. If they didn't, they had no legal rights as married people. This act set about to resolve that issue. August 17th is the birthday of actress and playwright Mae West, born in 1893. She became famous for her quippy innuendos and double entendres. Some of her more notable quotes include, "A dame that knows the ropes isn't likely to get tied up." And between two evils, I like to pick the one I haven't tried before. And I used to be Snow White, but I drifted. Mae West, what a card. We've talked about her in other episodes. She lived to the age of 87. On August 17, 1896, a woman named Bridget Driscoll became the first recorded case of a pedestrian killed in a collision with a motor car in the United Kingdom. A Category 4 hurricane hit Galveston, Texas on August 17, 1915. This is the birthday of Irish-American actress and singer Maureen O'Hara, born August 17, 1920. What a gal. She lived to the age of 95. The first meeting of the 12-step self-help group Narcotics Anonymous took place on August 17, 1953 in Southern California. We've mentioned the Berlin Wall before. On August 17, 1962, East Germans shot 18-year-old Peter Fechter as he tried to escape to West Berlin from East Berlin. On August 17, 1969, the grooviest event in music history, the Woodstock Music and Art Fair, drew to a close after 3 days of peace, love, and rock and roll in upstate New York. This is the day I should have worn my Woodstock t-shirt. On August 17, 1977, the Soviet icebreaker Arktika became the first surface ship to reach the North Pole. The first compact discs for commercial release were manufactured in Germany on August 17, 1982. Compact discs, or CDs as we like to call them, were originally designed to store and play back sound recordings and were later modified to store data. This first new album to be released on a CD was Billy Joel's 52nd Street, which hit the stores in Japan alongside the new Sony CD player on October 1st. Hitler's last living henchman, Rudolph Hess, died on August 16, 1987 at the age of 93. On August 17, 2008, American swimmer Michael Phelps became the first person to win 8 gold medals at one Olympic Games. 8. Today's song is People Got to Be Free by the Rascals, number 1 on August 17, 1968. An example of what is known as blue-eyed soul, this song was actually inspired by a frightening incident the band had experienced while on the road. People Got to Be Free was written by Felix Cavalieri and Eddie Brigatti and released in 1968, coincidentally the same year that Martin Luther King Jr. and Bobby Kennedy were assassinated. Rough year, 1968. Musically upbeat, People Got to Be Free is an impassioned plea for tolerance and freedom. It spent 5 weeks in that #1 spot and has been covered by the likes of Dionne Warwick, The Fifth Dimension, Johnny Maestro, and the Brooklyn Bridge. People Got to Be Free by the Rascals, #1 on August 17th, 1968. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include the link to my blog page that is called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, Parler, BitChute, and Getter. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.